against Chidi. You see, when you see a smoke, you look at the base, not the smoke itself. There were reasons that led to that conflict. Certain persons, because of whatever reason, and because of wherever they get their support, feel that they can impeach the Speaker of the House using 5 members. That is the genesis. So when they were, this club is a thing that has been rehearsed and planned over a period of time, because the House has been on recess. So they knew that one day the House will reconvene. And when the House reconvened, they clearly knew and know that the security apparatus is in their favor. So they came in surreptitiously very early in the morning and did that show of shame. That is why, if you know, you see, this is not a Obasanjo era where the laws are being tested. The definition of 2/3 that will move the resolution to impeach a speaker has been pronounced in several cases. Ladoja's case in Oyo State, the Supreme Court pronounced that it is not 2/3 of faction. That if you have a house, like in Rivers State, where we have 32 members in the house, that the 2/3 they are talking about, it's not even 2/3 of people who are suspended. If half of them are suspended, then you have to wait for the remaining suspended people to come to be able to meet the 2/3.
That is wrong.
That if, and wait, that is the interpretation of the law. I'm giving you authorities.
No, it's wrong.
Please let
I'm
him
giving you
finish what
authorities.
he's saying.
When I give you, I told you, I cited the case of Ladoja. You all know that Ladoja was impeached and was later reinstated. I equally cited the case of Jos Darie, where a set of people went and impeached him, and the court said no. The Supreme Court has made very clear pronouncement on the issue of impeachment. Section 92 of the Constitution says 2/3 of members of the House of Assembly, 2/3 of members of the House of Assembly, not 2/3 of faction. That what that means is that if 20 of them out of 40 are in suspension, or they are even sacked, or they are dead, they must wait for that election to be convened to fill their vacancies before you can impeach the
So
speaker.
that all the constituencies within the state will
now,
be represented.
you know what is happening? This is a playback to what happened in Joadang and Amechi's case, where the moment somebody gets 16, he rushes to the presidency and says, I've got it, and the presidency gives him.
Okay, at this stage, let's leave the
this
president
is what is
out
happening
of
again.
this first.
Five people, not even 5. There are 3 that actually voted.
Let me correct
because
another
BP,
question.
when you spoke, I didn't speak. BP was already the one that is presided as the speaker. 3 people voted, and 3 people want to sack an assembly of 32 persons and sack a speaker. That is begging the issue.
Okay.
We should be democrats here.
Very quickly, you have 1
And
minute.
then let me
Sorry,
talk about the law.
Mr.
Let me say something about
Appiah.
the meeting.
You
There's a
Mr.
law.
Appiah,
There's a law.
yes.
Look at the law. Look at the
Constitution, yes.
legislative Assembly Powers and Privileges Act.
That is what I'm holding.
Look at section 31.
That is what
And
I'm
look at
holding.
section 21.
That is what I'm holding.
32, and he has it.
All
Let
right.
him read it and
Okay.
see whether right
Very
can be
quickly,
consulted by
Mr.
the
Dick.
police.
Now,
Mr. Dick,
yeah,
you have
yeah.
1 second because
Yes,
we have to
yes.
go. We have
quickly,
to move on.
quickly,
to
I want to
people.
correct the proposition. Yeah, we're not here to quote law. The law courts are there.
We're here to
we can,
quote law.
sorry,
Could
we
you
can
please
analyze
let
law.
him speak?
That he said that even if members are suspended, that the 2/3 majority must be members. That is contrary. That is not what Section 22 of the Legislative House Privilege Act says.
Okay, can I ask you? We asked the questions
Yes.
here. We asked
Yes.
the questions. So let's make this clear. The
Okay.
questions you will respond to are the questions we asked you.
All right.
Now, if you say, based on what Mr. Appiah said, if we end up in a situation where a House of Assembly or a State House of Assembly is supposed to be 32 people, and somehow, ingeniously or disingenuously, 22 of them are suspended, can the remaining 10 people sit and decide that they will elect a new? Is that possible?
Let me read Section 22 of this law.
Okay.
Suspended member excluded from chamber and president. That is the title. Once you're suspended, in fact, I don't even need to read the whole law. Once you're suspended as a member of the House of Assembly, you cannot sit. You are excluded from this. In fact, the law says that you can even be removed. Let me say, a member of a legislative house who has been suspended from the service of that house shall not enter or remain within the chamber or precinct of the house while such suspension remains in force. And if any such member is found within the chamber or precinct of the house in contravention of this section, he may be forcefully removed therefrom by any officer of the house, and no proceeding shall lie in any court against such officer. That is the law.
Which means this that you read now, what does it mean to you? Does it mean that when you are suspended, you're not allowed to participate anymore, or when you're suspended, you can come back as soon as you are reinstated.
This is not debunk.
Because he is saying
This is not debunk his allegation that even if you are suspended, that if you were citing language, I am just telling that cannot be the law.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me talk to you. Sorry, gentlemen, you please let us.
The facts of Llyod's case and what has happened in Rivers is not the same. Cases are determined on the facts of the matter.
Don't talk like someone who is.
Sorry, we'll have to progress with this
There is no
conversation.
nexus between Llyod's case and what is happening in the University House of Assembly.
Gentlemen, we will have to progress with this conversation. Please, you're not the only ones on the set. Now, let me talk to the coordinator of Network for Defense of Democracy and Good Governance, Mr. Shobi Jumbo. You've heard all of what has been said. You can see the level of acrimony between the opposition. What's your thoughts?
Well, the crisis in Rivers State, not just in Assembly, has been an active and aberrant conflict. I'm now taking it from the perspective as a peace and a conflict resolution professional. It has been an active and aberrant conflict in the sense that the progression, that, by the days there are growing factions on both sides. And as a result of this growth, you're seeing the daily progression of this conflict. And they say what baffles me is that everybody is, attacking the conflict. Everybody is talking about the conflict. Nobody has come on to say, let us strategize a model on how to resolve this crisis. Now, going back to what happened in Rivers State House of Assembly, what people tag the mayhem, the assembly mayhem, the House, sometime in May, they sat last sometime in May and said they are setting down the House on Synodal. And they reconvened that day and they came back. And when they came in, the House was properly, because you can't say you want to reconvene a House with just an handful of persons. The House, owing to the fact that the other suspended members, who ordinarily are not meant to participate in the affairs of the House, has gone to court to seek for injunction for restricting the party from, taking further action against them. So
We are not suspended.
Sorry,
Could you please let him?
So they were there,
Thank
they were there on that day. They were there on that day, for this purpose. Now, the thing is that at some point, there was an impeachment. I'm not an eyewitness, but I heard at some point there was a fight. At some point there was an impeachment. At some point the governor came in. There are different levels, or there are different developmental stages to that day's crisis. But the one I want to take on is that of Honorable Julius Chidi Llyod. I'm not a lawyer. Both of them are talking about provocative and other stuff. But I'm not interested in that. Chidi Llyod's act is condemned in its whole entirety. Chidi Llyod traditionally is a chief. By profession, academic profession, he is a lawyer. A man who has been called to the bar. He has been in that assembly. This is his third tenure. He has stayed 12 years in Rivers State House of Assembly. So if there is anyone who needs to tutor or anybody on how to conduct yourself in assembly, Chidi Llyod should be one of the persons. I tell you, this is not the first time Chidi Llyod is doing things like this. I was worked in the assembly as a civil servant. There was a time Chidi Llyod, I think there's a paper I'll show to you. There was a time Chidi Llyod, this same Chidi Llyod, dazed a civil servant just because the young man reported to work few minutes after 8:30. So this is not his first time. So I don't even want to discuss about Chidi Llyod. He has been known for things like this.
Okay, let's go on to Mr. Nwanguma. You are program coordinator for Not Praying Foundation. Unfortunately, the conversation has gone in a tangent that has made it difficult for us to be able to explore all possibilities. But let me ask you, in terms of declaring one of those people wanted, as is presented by the media, or a case of being asked to report, do you think
all the members of the assembly should be asked to report